Welcome to Creative Cooking. Today we're going to make a stuffed pumpkin. Oh yeah, we're going to make a nice stuffing with cornbread and sausage and nuts. Oh, and we're going to plate that up and it's great. So I have a 10-pounder here that I have hollowed out. I don't need to show you how to do that, right? Oh yeah. Just clean it out and we're going to roast that in the oven at 350 degrees for about an hour and 15 minutes. We want it to be completely cooked. So while that's roasting in the oven, we're going to go ahead and make a stuffing. This recipe originally called for 1 package of sausage, but I'm going to use 2 because we're going to do this as a main course. And all you have to do is, break it up, brown it, till you render all the fat. But of course you're not going to drain it because we're going to use that to saute 7 ribs of celery that have been chopped. And we've got a couple of medium onions. These are white onions, but you can use yellow onions or even the red ones. They're all good. They're all good. Just saute that for about 10 minutes until everything is nice and tender. And then we'll add a cup of cashews. And these are roasted cashews, unsalted. And I have a cup of dried cranberries. And those cranberries, boy, I'll tell you, they really do make a difference. It adds a certain tart sweetness to it. It's wonderful. And some freshly grated black pepper. You'll notice that I'm not putting any salt in here because a lot of the ingredients already have salt, including the sausage itself. It's pretty salty stuff. You can substitute with ground pork and add your own seasonings if you have to go low sodium. Then I'm going to add 8 tablespoons of butter, and I want to melt that straight through and give it a little bit of a mix. We want it to melt before we add the rest of the stuff. Okay, and butter makes everything better. And basically I'm using the package directions for the cornbread stuffing itself. And don't forget, we've got a little bit of fat in there from the sausage, and that's good. We don't want to lose that. Alright, and then at this point, we'll go ahead and we'll add our cornbread stuffing. And that's an unseasoned, dried cornbread stuffing from Pepperidge Farms. That's the one I like to use. And we want to mix it. Now this should probably go in a large bowl to do this, but I'm going to show you a little method that I use when I have something like this. I call it the under-over method. If you watch, I just take the spoon, bring it on the bottom, give it a twist, and bring everything from the bottom to the top. And lo and behold, no mess. So keep that in mind, but you do want to use a skillet with these straight edges. Okay? And then we're going to add some chicken stock. That's right, chicken stock. And the recipe would actually call for 2 cups, but I'm putting in just under 2 cups. And the reason for that is because there's a lot of moisture, residual moisture, in the pumpkin. And when we return it back to the oven, it's going to steam this. So don't oversaturate your stuffing at this point. But if you put it in a casserole, you can go ahead and add 2 cups. And this is what I mean. If you look at the inside, after about an hour and 15 minutes, there's a lot of liquid in there. Now the best way to get rid of this is with a turkey baster, right? But I can't find my turkey baster. So I had to bring this over to the oven and drain the water out that way. I was able to do it without dropping the pumpkin. That would have been catastrophic, right? It would have ruined this whole recipe, right? But yeah, here it is. We got all the water out. And you can see it's nice and cooked. It's kind of bouncy, right? You could eat it just the way it is, but no, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some of that stuffing in here. And whether you pack it in tight or you pack it in loosely is up to you. I wanted to reserve a little bit, okay? I call that the chef's privilege. In other words, it's the stuff that you nibble on while everything else is cooking, right? I do it all the time. Come on, you do too. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to pop this in the oven at about 350 degrees, no particular amount of time. Just do it until the top of the stuffing starts to get little brown bits on the corners of the stuffing bread. And that's it. It's done. Okay? And if you're going to bring this out to the table and you want to put it in a nicer, casserole dish or serving dish, be careful because the bottom is very, very soft and it might fall out. And you're probably wondering, well, how do you serve it? Well, that's easy. Okay, just cut down this way. Basically, you want to cut it at least as wide as your spatula or whatever it is you're going to use to take this off. You cut vertical lines and you go horizontal like this, so you can cut out a nice little square or a rectangle and just push it off. See? It comes right out. You don't have to scoop. You don't want to scoop, and I'll tell you why. You gotta flip this over, and you're gonna notice that skin, well, it's very thin. It's actually very thin. Look how easy that comes off. It's the same thing you do when you roast sweet potatoes or yams. Very little waste, if any, because you're just peeling off the tough skin on the outside. Works out great. And so, once you get that on the plate, go ahead and put on a generous amount of that stuffing. And it is delicious stuffing, okay? So, this is actually a pretty good side dish for Thanksgiving dinner. Hint. Instead of making the stuffing separate and the squash separate, do it this way, and you get your vegetable and your stuffing at the same time. I do this at least once a year, usually in October, but this year we did it early. We did it because last year we had a hard time finding the right size pumpkin to do this. So I hope you do give this a try, and I hope that you come back each week for more great videos made for people who like to cook. Until then, bon appetit.